Hi guys.
Hello.
Before we talk about the band, do you still recall your first meeting?
Oh yeah, it's funny you asked that because I was thinking about that. A movie just came through my head because I was just telling him everything's happening so fast for us, and I looked at him now and I remember when we first met, which was like what,
almost 15
years ago.
Yeah.
He had another band in Brazil. I had another band in Rio, and he was recording at a studio there, the same studio that I had just recorded. And he's from the south. I'm from Rio de Janeiro, and so the owner of the studio called me and he said, "Okay, there is this guy recording here from a big band from the south, and he's an amazing singer. You should come here and you should check it out." And then I drove straight to the studio. That was when we first met, and we became instant friends. And it was funny because we didn't really talk much about music, but we talked much more about beliefs and philosophies and like questions of life, you know, and relationships, girls.
And what made you click then?
I think that was it. I think it was.
Do you still recall?
Yeah, it's all in the lyrics now. Yeah. It's all in our lyrics now. It's really
all about the lyrics.
Yeah, what we write about now, it's what we first spoke about 15 years ago.
Yeah,
which are questions like very philosophical questions, I would say, like why are we here? I mean, what is the meaning of life? I know it sounds like profound and vague, but it's really something on the daily basis, day-to-day things when you deal with relationship and money and all that, and that causes you pain and you know, and concerns and all, suffering. And we were talking about that and how hard life can be and really what's the meaning, you know. And it's still what we talk about today. And the difference now is that we are close friends, and now we kind of help each other going through struggles in life.
And if you, what band were you in 15 years ago?
Oh, it was called Sayoa. It was a heavy band with big Brazilian drums. We toured Europe 3 times actually. We support Sepultura a couple times in Europe. And he was in another band
called Reação em Cadeia, Chain Reaction in English, and was huge in the South.
Yeah, he's been huge in the South.
But in Portuguese and
I mean, his band would play like for 15,000 people by themselves.
Yeah. But now, I'm living the dream.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Since the beginning, since we first met, because his other band, he sings in Portuguese, and since we met, he was like, in my band, we sang in English. I was a singer actually. And
was he good?
Compared to him, I wasn't, not at all. And that's why when I start a new band, I call him. And so
he knows how to scream now.
Yeah,
it was more a screamo thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so, but how long did you actually? How long were you friends?
Yeah.
But not actually in a band together. What was that first step that you actually made music together?
It was recent. It was like 3 years ago. Yeah. But we know each other for 15 years.
But how come those 12 years? Were you actually?
You know, it was funny. You wanna because
not good, did it?
We lived far away from each other. Brazil is huge. I mean, it's you know that
it's bigger than Holland.
Yeah. No, it's funny because people here say, "Oh, it's far. I gotta drive 2 hours." We go like 2 hours is nothing. Let's do it. You
Peanuts.
know, peanuts. And so he lived in the south of Brazil, which driving, you know, from where I used to live. From where you used to live, how many hours driving would that be?
I think 18 hours, maybe
like
20
hours. We were 18 hours apart, maybe 20 hours apart, if you would drive straight. So we lived pretty far from each other. And there were no cell phones back in the day. And so it was funny because we would actually just call each other and just say, "Hey, how's it going, man? How is the band going?" And we would just like chat on the phone. And it was funny because there were those big cell phones, but the kids didn't use it. So I would call from my home to his home, and so his mom would pick up, and I would speak with his mom a little bit. So after I started knowing his family, his sisters and everybody, because they would pick up the phone. and maybe he would be on tour, and then he would call me back a week later, say, hey, did you call me last week? How's it going? How's life? And it was a legit friendship.
Yep.
And funny because something connected us
Since the beginning.
since the beginning.
Yeah.
And so it would be like this, and then we would meet maybe in festivals or something like that.
But what was the turning point then 3 years ago?
Well, so I was after the band, while I was still in that band, I started promoting festivals, music festivals in Brazil, big ones. We had like big headliners like Rage Against the Machine, Dave Matthews Band, Alice in Chains, like big festivals.
What's it called?
It was called SWU. And I started little by little stop playing music as a musician. I stopped playing guitar, and I got also tired of a little bit of the stress around it, And
Well, yeah.
Anyway, so going back, so I stopped playing music. I stopped playing guitar and everything, and Jean left. Jean, who is one of the drummers we have in the band, because we exchange instruments, so we have two drummers. So one of the drummers, he left Sepultura because he used to play in another Brazilian band called Sepultura. And then he called me and he said, "Oh, let's have a coffee," And then I sat down with him, and he goes like, "Well, I just left Sepultura, and what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm not playing anymore." He said, "Oh, maybe we should jam."
But did you play by yourself? I mean, at home?
No, I didn't even know where my instruments were.
Yeah.
It was
How long?
five years without touching the guitar. For me, that was a chapter gone. Really, it was really gone, and it was a little bit frustrating because I was meeting all those big artists because I was a promoter. I was being with managers and agents, which I'm still friends with some of them. But I was not a musician, so it was a little bit, frustrating. But it was something I had already accepted. So Jean said, we should start jamming and let's see what happens. And then we start jamming, and we went like, yeah, maybe we should put a band together. And then I said, yeah, but we should try to send a message, of something we believe in.
Was it hard for you to pick up the guitar after 5 years, or was it?
It was like riding
really
a bike.
easy?
Yeah, it's like riding a bike. In the beginning you go a little slow, but it is there, And then at some point Jean said, "Yeah, we need to find a singer." And we already decided that we didn't want to be instrumental, because at the beginning we said maybe we'll be instrumental. Then we said no, let's have a singer. And we wanted to be in English. And I said there is one guy in Brazil. There is a close friend of mine. And at that time we hadn't spoke to each other for like a year or something, maybe two.
Maybe.
And I said, there's one guy in Brazil that we should talk to. Because Jean said, let's try to get someone from the States or England, because we don't know the accent. And then I said, yeah, but there's this one guy in Brazil that he's really good. That was when I called him.
And where were you at?
I was in the South, and I was in a moment of my life that I was thinking, maybe I'll try to take some vacations, maybe forever.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, I was not in the mood anymore with my band. It's like what we write on the lyrics. I was feeling that I was doing something just for money, not for passion. And when he called me and invited me to join the band, I was, come on, man. That's what I was waiting for my whole life. And then I accepted, and I went to São Paulo to make some auditions with songs. And
he was the only one who ever tried.
Yeah.
We never tried anyone else.
Then happened.
And what was the first song you actually wrote together?
I think it was Sublimated.
Sublimated, yeah.
Yeah, Sublimated. It's going to be the second song on the set tonight. It was the first one. It was the first one you heard. It was the first one you heard in the studio that we pushed play. And it was funny because I was the only one. Well, Rafael already knew you two, but we were really friends.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was very excited for everybody to want him on the band as well. So we just pushed play, and he started to just do some, and then was like, hey guys, we're listening to it, it's really cool. He's making some cool melodies right there. And then I flew to Rio. Yeah.
But did they know that you were friends?
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course. Yeah, of course.